Hello world. If you're new, my name's Nicholas and this is Investing Against the Grain. Today's episode is all about Tesla's new humanoid robot, otherwise known as Optimus. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be unpacking the Optimus reveal, the humanoid reveal during Tesla AI Day. Okay, this will be a very fun, exciting video, and we're also going to uncover hidden potential revenue streams for Tesla that was, I think, accidentally discussed by the AI team. Okay, we're gonna look into this and see what this could mean on a bigger scale for Tesla. Now, with all of this together, including the humanoid, the TAM, the total addressable market for Tesla is massive. Now, before we get into this, keep in mind, none of this is investment advice. It's just an engineer's perspective. For those of you who don't know, I'm a software system engineer. I design massive data centers for cloud computing. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. And when I'm not doing that, I'm here geeking out with you guys over Tesla and investing. So before we get into it, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. And without further ado, let's have a look at Optimus.
And next up, Elon will update us on what's beyond our vehicle fleet for AI.
All right. Thank you. Now, unlike Dojo, obviously that was not real.
Now, when I watched this live at home, my fiance and I were on the couch, and when this first came on, I was kind of freaking out. All right, first of all, how badass of a entrance for a video was that for Tesla's humanoid? You know, just the way they came into it, you know, the whole rendering, the video they showed. But then when we were watching it live and I saw this, obviously this person dressed up as Optimus come out walking, at first I was like, no way, it's real. And once it started dancing, or the person started dancing, like all of a sudden I was like, okay, this isn't real, but it was still badass. So, you know, just right out the gate, not something I was expecting at all. You know, I was expecting them to come out with some kind of robot that can, you know, do solar roof or something of that nature, or them to go more nuance into what they're doing right now within the manufacturing plant and how they are, you know, using robots and AI to deal with that. But this was just beyond what I was expecting. You know, some people actually called this, which is wild, right? I mean, obviously they're probably reaching and just hoping and guessing, but, you know, this is just beyond exciting. So let's go ahead and have a listen to Elon, and, you know, I'll stop periodically throughout this and give some insight and some thoughts, and, you know, we'll uncover some things along the way.
So Dojo is real. The Tesla bot will be real. But basically, if you think about what we're doing right now with the cars, Tesla is arguably the world's biggest robotics company because our cars are like semi-sentient robots on wheels.
So even up to this point, whenever Elon said, so unlike Dojo, that was not real, I for a second thought he actually meant the entire thing. I thought even the rendering video, I thought he was saying that none of that was real. And then he clarifies with the following.
And with the full self-driving computer, essentially the inference engine on the car, which will keep evolving, obviously, and Dojo, and all of the neural nets recognizing the world, understanding how to navigate through the world, it kind of makes sense to put that onto a humanoid form. And we're also quite good at sensors and batteries and actuators. So we think we'll probably have a prototype sometime next year that basically looks like this. And it's intended to be friendly, of course.
So, when you start to unpack it and you think about what Elon just said, so obviously they're good at actuators. Obviously, they have the inference engine for FSD. Obviously, they are a powerhouse when it comes to batteries. I mean, they really are making a robot on wheels with the Teslas. Okay, the only real difference is the form factor. In this case, the form factor would be a human-shaped robot or a humanoid. So, when you break it down like that, it more so makes sense, right? Right now they're teaching the vehicles how to navigate the world. Now, granted, within the paradigm of driving, there's a lot more rules in comparison to the real world, right? Like in the real world, there are no rules, right? I can bump into someone, I can walk on the sidewalk, I can walk on the street, I can cross through a grass field, right? With a vehicle, at least we know, you have to stay on the street. You have these lines, you have these signs that tell you what to do, right? So there are some differences there, but from a local maximum perspective for a humanoid, self-driving is a very, big local maximum. And if they can solve FSD, which I think they will very soon, the way they're iterating is insane. But once they solve that, then that becomes the baseline local maximum for the humanoid, and then they can go from there. The beauty of the humanoid, though, is that when they train to go beyond that local maximum to the next local maximum, they can do things in-house, right? They can simulate a lot of things, right? How do I take this nut and put it onto that screw? How do I empty a dishwasher? The dexterity it takes to pick something up gently versus applying a certain amount of torque and force to something, right? All that stuff can be trained without using the real world, without having to have all these testers doing all these things. I mean, Elon could be testing the humanoid in his own house, just doing everyday tasks, right? All of them could. So this could actually be a lot more of a faster thing to solve rather than driving, because driving, you need all of those edge cases, which you still would need here, but it's just a little different, right? It's a lot more attainable. At least I think it is. Let's continue.
And navigate through a world built for humans and eliminate dangerous, repetitive, and boring tasks. We're setting it such that it is, at a mechanical level, at a physical level, you can run away from it. And most likely overpower it. So hopefully that doesn't ever happen, but you never know. So it'll be a light, yeah, anyway, 5 miles an hour. If you can run faster than that, it'll be fine.
So let's take a look at these specs real quick. Height, about 5'8". Carry capacity is 45 pounds. Weight would be 125 pounds. So more or less, average size of a woman, a small man, really small man. Deadlift 150 pounds. That's a decent amount of deadlifting right there. Speed 5 miles an hour. So like Elon said, you could run away from it. I think it's hilarious how he's taking into account of a iRobot scenario. If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. It's honestly one of my favorite movies. I think Elon Musk is building the iRobot world now with autonomous driving and the Tesla bot, otherwise known as Optimus. But the fact that he's trying to build in safety guards in case it does become completely sentient and, makes us, it takes control of us because we are too dangerous for ourselves, right? Like that whole, idea. But, going on here, arm extend lift of 10 pounds. If you think about that as a moment arm, right? The further out you go, you extend your arm, right? The heavier something really is, it's harder to lift something out here rather than, right up close to your body. So I think that's pretty good, 10 pounds. And the whole goal here, at least initially, is to eliminate dangerous repetitive jobs. Okay, so think of all those jobs that are dangerous, right? I mean, you think of things like, for example, welding underwater. Okay, welding underwater. The welders who do that actually have a shortened lifespan because of the danger of it, right? The toxicity of it and what it does to the body. You think about people who work out on drill ships or oil rigs, right? Those are very dangerous jobs. Not saying that you still would need humans or would replace humans, but it would allow the humans to be able to be a little bit removed from the dangerous aspect of the jobs. Okay, being able to do things that are dangerous and could hurt humans, that's very powerful, right? It allows humans to be able to focus on what's more important, what they're better at, right? Managing, coming up with ideas, creativity, things of that nature. So this is amazing to me. And I think the goal is small but powerful and very scalable. So, this is a perfect use case, friendly, eliminates boring tasks, right? This is everything we would want. In my mind, when I heard him say that, the first things I thought about, I turned to my fiance and I said to her, unloading dishwasher, folding laundry. That's what I want one for. If that's all it ever did, I would be so happy. Do the laundry, do the dishes. Happy man.
It's around 5'8". Has sort of a screen where the head is for useful information, but it's otherwise basically got the autopilot system in it. So it's got cameras, got 8 cameras, and
I love how they obviously, this isn't something they just pieced together. Okay, and you can tell by this, they've already had a lot of thought into where they would put actuators. What I love is that they are sticking with 5 fingers. And I think that's very important. If you think about, the world is built for us. We built the world to leverage our body the way our design is. And with a lot of things, the dexterity that you need from all 5 fingers is very important. Okay, and there's a lot, whether you're holding something, carrying something, the ability to, gently screw something on or off or hold different things in different positions. So I love that they have that. But with all of the actuators, this is actually a rather simple design from what you can see here. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more that goes into it, but it looks like they've already have some preliminary thoughts on it. I wouldn't be surprised if they are already, in the process of constructing at least a form factor of this. And actually, no, he said that by next year that they plan on having some kind of prototype. So, the physical aspect of it might be here a lot sooner than we would expect. Now, I think that's the easy part. Building this will be easy. The hard part will be, I guess, the semi-sentient part of it, right? How does it know how to navigate the world and how to do certain tasks? Again, most importantly, laundry and dishes. That's what we want, laundry and dishes. Those are the main things for me, at least.
Full self-driving computer, and making use of all of the same tools that we use in the car. So, things that I think that are really hard about having a useful humanoid robot is, can it navigate through the world without being explicitly trained? Without explicit, line-by-line instructions. Can you talk to it and say, please pick up that bolt and attach it to the car with that wrench, and it should be able to do that. It should be able to, please go to the store and get me the following groceries, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think we can do that.
I'll tell you right now, Elon is 100% right, which you probably don't need me to tell you that. Elon tends to be right if history has taught us anything. But the idea of having to code this line by line it would never work. It just wouldn't. We can't even do that for image recognition. All right. In order to have a robot, a humanoid, to tell it, hey, go get some groceries for me, or hey, can you go pick up the kids from school, or anything, or to Elon's point, grab that bolt and put it over there, right? You're not gonna be able to code all of that in, right? It's got to be something that you have to create a synthetic brain, right? Andrej Karpathy talked about that at the beginning of AI Day. If you haven't seen that, I'll link a video right here. You can see that video I made about FSD and how they're actually creating a synthetic animal, and the FSD software is essentially their neural net is a synthetic brain that they're creating. So that's what you need, right? You need something that can look at the world and understand what it's looking at without having to have these boundaries of coding within it. So essentially, a whole bunch of matrixy math that's probability based that can understand when to do certain things and when not to. And
yeah, this I think will be quite profound, because if you say it like, what is the economy? It is at the foundation, it is labor. So what happens when there is no shortage of labor? This is why I think long term that there will need to be universal basic income. Yeah. But not right now, because this robot doesn't work. So we just need a minute. So yeah, but I think it's essentially in the future, physical work will be a choice. If you want to do it, you can, but you won't need to do it. And yeah, I think it obviously has profound implications for the economy, because given that the economy at its foundational level is labor, I mean, capital equipment is just distilled labor, then is there any actual limit to the economy? Maybe not. So, yeah. Join our team and help build this.
So the whole point of Tesla AI Day was a recruiting initiative to bring the best talents to Tesla. Okay, that was the whole goal. It wasn't to release any new product or anything. I mean, even this, I wouldn't consider a releasing a new product. It was a purely recruitment tactic. Okay, Battery Day was the same way. Autonomous Day, same thing, right? It's all about recruiting the best talent in the world to come work at Tesla. Now, interesting thought there. Is there a limit to the economy? Maybe not. This is profound, okay? Especially for a company that is leading the path in revolutionizing. It's not evolutionary change. These are revolutionary changes into the biggest industries in the world, from the automobile industry to the energy industry, and now I don't even know what to call this, but the human industry. Okay, the human physical labor industry. Right? This is the economy, all of this. So Tesla is actively disrupting all of these verticals, from the vehicle world, the automobile industry. They have already changed it radically. Every car company is trying to go electric. Throw in FSD in there, right? This is literally one of the biggest jobs in the world. If not, I think it might be the biggest number of jobs anybody has in the world is driving. Okay, whether it's buses or taxis or anything of the sort. They're disrupting that. Energy, okay, the oil industries, the electric industry, okay, they are disrupting all of that, going from a centralized model to decentralized model, right? The whole world is migrating to multiple types of decentralized models. Just look at cryptocurrencies, okay? Bitcoin. The whole idea of Bitcoin is to move away from fiat centralized government-controlled currency into a decentralized platform. Now, whether you're a crypto lover or not, you can't deny that this movement is happening. And the same thing is going to happen with the electrical grid system. And Tesla is leading the way with this. And now with the humanoid, okay, the humanoid to take over physical labor tasks. And we'll start off with the most dangerous and just the jobs people don't want to do, okay? How many people want to go and clean out a septic tank? Not a lot of people want to do that. It's just not a job people want to do. Humanoid, perfect for that. So the idea that we'll be, Tesla will be conquering all of these, right? And just jumping into them and revolutionizing them. The TAM, the total addressable market, from an investment perspective, there is no bigger TAM in the world than what Tesla's going after. They are going for the biggest in the world, and it's not even close.
Okay, there we go. First off, thanks to all the presenters. That was just super cool to see everything. I'm just curious at a high level, and this is kind of a question for really anyone who wants to take it. To what extent are you interested in publishing or open sourcing anything that you do for the future?
Well, it is fundamentally extremely expensive to create the system, so somehow that has to be paid for. I'm not sure how to pay for it if it's fully open sourced. Yeah, unless people want to work for free.
So before I continue, because there's an interesting second point that Elon brings up, but I don't understand why you would think that Tesla would open source any of this. All right, it makes no sense. They've already open sourced their patents for electrical vehicle, as far as the actual powertrain and everything, right? They're a very open company. But to think that they would open source any of their AI or anything of that nature, they have invested so much money, so much of their time and their resources into this. Why would they open source this, right? In order to innovate and fund future innovations, they have to make a profit. And if they're not making a profit, well, then we're going to stagnate. So it's just a little bit of you saw Elon sitting there like looking up for a while, like, how do I answer this without just, being, I don't think he cares about being rude, but he seemed like almost baffled by the question. Like, this is a ridiculous question. We need to be able to fund these things. Nobody's going to work for free. Well, not yet, not till humanoids are here. But yeah, it's a silly question. But what's really important is the next part of what Elon says. And from an investor perspective, this should make you really happy.
But I should say that this is, if other car companies want to license it and use it in their cars, that would be cool. This is not intended to be just limited to Tesla cars.
This is Elon yet again saying, if you want to license our FSD, our software, we'll license it to any car manufacturer who wants to use it. Okay, I think this will happen. And it'll start off with one company. One company is eventually going to say, okay, we call Uncle, right? Go ahead. We'll license this from you. We're not going to be able to compete. We're not going to be able to keep up. And it'll be interesting to see who the holdouts are, right? Or who's not going to have this, because inevitably, once Tesla solves FSD, it's going to be, you would have to be the bottom tier of the IQ spectrum to buy a vehicle that doesn't have FSD. It would be idiotic. Okay, it would make no sense. Have a car that can drive itself or not. I'm not saying it has to drive itself all the time, but to have the option. Like, that would be insane. And so whichever car manufacturers finally say, okay, mercy, you know what? Good job, Tesla. You guys did it. Let's go ahead and, we'll license this from you. And that way we can provide it and we can have it. And odds are, whoever does that first will get the best deal, right? Or be entrenched earlier on. And it'll probably, if it's any of the OEMs, it'll probably ensure the chances of them surviving. Okay, because this whole revolution with electric vehicle, it's going to be hard enough. Now, for them to divert their energy from that into trying to create full self-driving, forget about it. You're way too behind. You don't have the resources. You don't have the capital. You don't have the intellectual capital. It's inevitable. I love hearing Elon say this, because it goes to show that he's not trying to create a monopoly. And this actually protects Tesla as well from an investment perspective on being seen as a monopoly in the future. Okay, so I do think FSD will become like Google, but imagine if Google could license out their algorithms. right? What would that mean, right? That could be a whole nother stream of revenue for them.
Hi, I'm Ian Glow. I manage the autopilot simulation team. So as we go down the path to full self-driving, we're going to have to simulate more and more of the vehicle. Currently, we're simulating vehicle dynamics, but we're going to need BMS, we're going to need the MCU, we're going to need every single part of the vehicle integrated. And that actually makes the autopilot simulator really useful for places outside of autopilot.
Listen to this carefully. This actually makes the simulator powerful for things outside of autopilot, outside of FSD. Now let's keep listening. I think this is one of the biggest things that people miss during AI Day.
So I want to expand, or we want to expand eventually to being a universal simulation platform.
To becoming a universal simulation platform. Okay, think about this. People are talking about the humanoid, which, yes, that's going to be huge. People talk about FSD. You can license it out, right? That's its own platform. People are talking about Dojo as a service, right? A neural net trainer. But now, what we're talking about here is a simulator platform. Okay, that could be massive. That's a whole nother, revenue stream that nobody's even talking about. Now, sure, maybe, that kind of coincides with Dojo, but it really doesn't, because Dojo is the infrastructure where you could train upon, right? To get enough compute, to be able to have enough network bandwidth, to not have that congestion, to have enough, not run into, I squared R, right? Thermal issues with having to wick away all that heat, right? That's what Dojo will be about. But this simulator will be able to simulate different things. I mean, who knows, right? It's endless, right? It's almost like, when Apple created the App Store and said, hey, here's a platform for everybody. Creators, go create. Well, that's what Tesla will be doing here. They'll be saying, hey, here's a simulator where you can simulate different things to use to learn in the real world. But with the simulator, go ahead, come up with your ideas. All right, this could be so powerful. This could be enormous. This could be what leads the next revolution into AI, into automation, into machine learning, neural nets, right? Like, I think this is so underrepresented. This simulator could be honestly one of the biggest things that Tesla has under the hoods that they're not talking about.
But I think before that, we're going to be spinning up a lot of Optimus support.
I'll pause there again. You're about to learn this in a second. When he says we'll be spinning up Optimus support, Optimus is what they call the Tesla humanoid. That's the project. Optimus is the name of the project, secret name. And I love that they call it Optimus because it's a positive innuendo into what the humanoid could be and will be, right? So it's an Optimus lookout into the future. But the idea that they're going to use this simulator, this real world simulator, where they're taking data from the real world from all of the Tesla fleet, all the vehicles out there, and they're using that real world data and they're embedding it into the simulation to create the simulation. And then that's what they're going to use to train Optimus. Once that works, then this platform can go live. Okay, so just think about what that means. If Tesla's able to do that for the vehicles first, and then for the humanoid, and then here's this new platform that you can leverage to create and invent anything you want, because you can teach it using this simulator while you're using the physical gear that we're also going to let you use, right? Dojo as a service, the simulator as a service, FSD as a service. Don't forget about the electrical grid, right? Decentralizing electricity. Oh, wait, don't forget all of the electric vehicles, the entire fleet there. This is massive. From an investment perspective, this is just insane, okay? Tesla has so much room to run. I honestly, all my models, I would say, are completely wrong if we start taking these things into account, which I'm not going to until they're more so realistic, or, more so within the pipeline, so a year or two away. But this could be massive. I can't stress this enough.
And then a little bit further down the line, we have some rough ideas on potentially how to get the simulation infrastructure and some of the cool things we've built into the hands of people outside of the company.
Optimus is the code name for the Tesla bot.
Oops.
Optimus subprime. But yeah, the robot is not prompted by specifically by manufacturing needs. It's just that we're just obviously making the pieces that are needed for a useful humanoid robot. So I guess we probably should make it. And if we don't, someone else will. And so I guess we should make it and make sure it's safe.
I think that's a great rationale. One, we're already making all the pieces for it, so why not just make it into humanoid form? Two, if Tesla doesn't do it, someone eventually will. I mean, we all see Boston Dynamics, right? They're doing amazing things. Although I will say their pace of innovation seems to have slowed down. And if you've listened to any of Lex Friedman's stuff, he used to have a very intimate relationship with Boston Dynamics. And it sounds like, marketing has kind of taken over instead of the engineers, something that Elon is always preaching, that engineers should be leading where the company goes, not marketing decisions or MBAs, right? He's spoken out very aggressively against MBAs, much as Sandy Munro has as well. But it's a great point. If Tesla doesn't do it, someone will. And at least Elon was saying, at least we can make sure it'll be safe, or at least try to make it safe, right? That can be the main goal. But it's a great look into the insight of the why behind the humanoid.
I should say, also manufacturing, volume manufacturing is extremely difficult and underrated, and we've gotten pretty good at that. So it's also important for that humanoid robot. How do you make the humanoid robot not be super expensive?
And this is just another leg up that Tesla will have inevitably, right? Like I said, actually making the prototype, I don't think will be difficult for them at all. And in fact, I think they'll be able to catch up to what, Boston Dynamics is doing rather quickly. The hard part will be the actual, neural nets and the learning of how the world functions. But once that's done, right, for any other company, there's another obstacle. Okay, how do we make this affordable? Well, the only way you make it affordable is by creating volume, mass volume, right? And how do we create mass volume? Well, there's manufacturing involved. And unless you're really good at manufacturing, it's going to be very hard and a lot of growing pains. Well, guess what? There's no better manufacturing company out there in the world than Tesla. They went through the growing pains. They went through Elon sleeping on factory floors until they could get things going. They've gone through all of the learned experiences with the Tesla robots, in other words, the vehicles. Okay, now they would take that, they would transition it into a humanoid form factor, but they're not starting from the ground zero. They know how to manufacture now. So this, again, would be another leg up for Tesla when it comes to the humanoid, right? You start thinking about all these things, they already make all these parts, batteries, actuators, the FSD, neural nets, they're already in manufacturing. Once you start thinking about all these things, it's like, well, at the beginning of this presentation, it's like, okay, well, this might be a kind of imaginary, kind of future idea or dream. But once you start breaking it down, really start thinking about it, it really sounds like this is realistic. Not only just realistic, but realistic within this decade. Okay, it's pretty wild if you start to just deconstruct what would go into it and where Tesla is right now with everything that involves going into the humanoid and assembling it.
For your humanoid context, I'm wondering if you've decided on what use cases you're going to start with and what the grand challenges are in that context to make this viable.
Well, I think for the Tesla bot, Optimus, it's basically going to start with just dealing with work that is boring, repetitive, and dangerous. Basically, what is the work that people would least like to do? Yeah.
I was curious about the Tesla bot. Specifically, I'm wondering if there are any specific applications that you think the humanoid form factor lends itself to. And then secondary, because of its human form factor, is emotion or companionship at all thought about on the product roadmap at all?
Maybe only my mind went there. I think everybody's mind went there. Isn't it a little early to be asking if this humanoid form factor would be able to have a relationship or companionship with people? I guess Elon did say, the initial point of the humanoid is to do difficult, dangerous, or jobs that people just don't want to do. And I will say there are some people that people don't want to do. So who knows? All right, but let's keep watching.
Well, we certainly hope this does not feature in a dystopian sci-fi movie. But really, at this point, we're saying like maybe this robot can. We're trying to be as literal as possible. Can it do boring, dangerous, repetitive jobs that people don't want to do? And once we can have it do that, then maybe it can do other things too. But that's the thing that would be really great to have. So. It could be your buddy too. I mean, you can buy one and have it be your friend and whatever. I'm sure that people will think of some very creative uses.
I have a question about the design of the Tesla bot. Specifically, how important is it to maintain that humanoid form? To build hands with 5 fingers, that also respects the weight limits could be quite challenging. You might have to use cable driven, and then that also causes all kinds of issues.
I mean, this is just going to be bot version 1. I mean, we'll see. So it needs to be able to do things that people do, and be a generalized humanoid robot. I mean, you could potentially have it give it like 2 fingers and a thumb or something like that. For now we'll give it 5 fingers and see if that works out okay. It probably will. It doesn't need to be like have like incredible grip strength, but it needs to be able to work with tools. So carry a bag, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes no sense not to make it with 5 fingers, in my opinion, at least initially. We design the whole world for us and for how we are created. Okay, so it only makes sense to make the humanoid the same way. Now, maybe down the line, you really just need 3 fingers, right, or 2 fingers and a thumb to do a lot of things. But in the very current moment, it's hard to really think about what I wouldn't or why I would need these other 2 fingers. But if you're lifting something up, right? If you're lifting something up, depending on how much grip strength you have, it might be weird, right? Just to sit there like this with 3 fingers, I don't know. And if you think about the implications from an actuator perspective, the more I have load distribution with each finger, right, the easier it'll be to make, I think. Whereas if you had so much load just on these 3, and really if you're lifting something up like a deadlift, right, just these 4, there's less load distribution. So I think that also goes into, that's why we're designed the way we are, I believe.
Oh, hi, here. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the short to medium term economics of the bot. I guess I understand the long-term vision of replacing physical labor, but I also think repetitive, dangerous, and boring tasks tend to not be so highly compensated. And so I just don't see how to reproduce start with a supercar and then break into like the lower end of the market. How do you do that for a robot humanoid?
Well, I guess you'll just have to see.
That was absolutely savage from Elon. Well, I guess you'll just have to see. First of all, the question is completely represented with a false truth. Okay, dangerous, repetitive jobs actually tend to be jobs that are highly, highly paid. Jobs that people don't want to do tend to be jobs that are highly, highly paid. Okay, think welders, think plumbers, think electricians. Okay, think people working out in the oil industry doing, the irony there, right? If that were to happen. But things like drill ships, right? Very dangerous. Working construction, very dangerous. People who have to deal with sewage, right? I'm not saying it's necessarily dangerous, but it's not a job people want to do. So, but these are all very high paying jobs. Every job I pretty much just mentioned, for the maybe not construction, but everything else is essentially a 6-figure paying job. Okay, welders make crazy money. Anybody in the oil industry makes crazy money. All right, plumbers, electricians, lots of money. They are highly paid careers. Now, Elon's point, it's like I'm not even gonna entertain this. So I love that he didn't entertain it. He just said, well, you'll just have to see. I'm not gonna explain my thesis of how this is gonna work to you. Like, it's just a waste of a question. A lot better question could have been asked, in my opinion. All right, so that is Tesla AI Day. I think there's a lot of implications for this humanoid. If nothing else, it definitely sets the next bar, the next goal for Tesla. What I've seen is you have companies, and I started investing in Apple back in 2008. Okay, and like I've told you guys, the impetus of this channel is to invest against the grain. A traditional model of investing is to diversify. And, I'll quote Warren Buffett, diversification, and Charlie Munger, diversification is a hedge for stupidity. Okay, now I don't think that's quite true. I think it's a hedge against, maybe you don't have time to do research, you don't want to do research. There's a lot of other reasons. It's not just stupidity. So, take that with a grain of salt. It's just a phrasing they use. But I was all in with Apple. Okay, I had a huge investment into Amazon, and now I'm all in with Tesla. But here is where I've really seen the differences. With Apple, it was very clear that the iPhone was revolutionary and everybody else was miles behind. People caught up. With Amazon, nobody got it. Nobody understood what was happening, the disruption with retail and with AWS, okay? Nobody saw it. Even then, whenever they would post earnings, AWS was massively profitable, but the retail business was still losing money, right? And they were staying afloat mainly through AWS, but they were sacrificing short-term gains of profitability for long-term greed. Okay, that's what Amazon was doing, and guess what? It worked. But the problem I see with Apple and I see with Amazon is where's their next innovation? Where's it been? Everything I've seen from Apple or from Amazon has just been evolutionary changes. There haven't been any revolutionary changes. However, when we look at Tesla, here they are, yet putting forward a humanoid, yet another revolutionary change. Okay, they went from electric vehicles, then they went into energy, then they went to full self-driving. Okay, don't even mention how they do their manufacturing. Don't even mention how they're making new metals. Don't even talk about the gigapress. And now they're making a step towards humanoids. This is a company that prides itself and stays ahead of the competition through innovation. Okay, not by creating moats of monopolies or anything like that, right? Google, think about Google. I love Google. Okay, I love YouTube, obviously. But when was the last time Google really innovated something? When was the last time they really came out with something that was amazing? They have Google search and they have YouTube. And YouTube, they bought. So that's my question, right? Where's the innovation? Tesla, it's very clear. They are still innovating. They are still coming out with revolutionary products, and they are pushing the world forward. And this is why I think Tesla is such an underrated investment. There's no other company that has as large of a total addressable market as they do. They will be the most valuable company in the world. It's inevitable. When? I can't guarantee anything. If I had to make a prediction, I would say, by 2025, much as other people have, Ron Barron, Kathy Woods, right? Lots of people have called us out, but I agree. By 2025, without a doubt, they'll be the largest company in the world. I see anywhere from a $2 to $3 trillion value, but these are just predictions. Do your own homework, do your own research, make decisions for yourself. Just use what I'm saying as a stepping stone to, maybe opening up your mind to different possibilities and different ways of thinking, right? We are conditioned to diversify. We are conditioned to not put all of our eggs in one basket, but maybe that's not the right way to think about things. Just an opinion from an engineer who has had some success without doing that. All right, so we're gonna leave it there for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this week. I know we did. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. For those of you who don't know, I post videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, stay tuned for those. And in order to remember that, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. That way you know whenever we come out with a new video on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. All right, I love you all. Peace.